Well, hello guys and gals, and welcome back to Thunder Bay, my City Skylines 1 build of a Florida-style city that is inspired by the Tampa Bay region. As always, I'm your host and creator, Legio, and I'm excited to have you here. And if you end up being excited to be here, well, you should do the typical YouTube stuff down below. I'd greatly appreciate it, and that would just make you a super cool person for doing so. So anyways, yeah, I've been gone for a minute. Like I said in the last episode, which if you didn't check out, you should check out because it wasn't a terrible episode. I went out of town for a weekend with Mrs. Legio, and when I came home, I had a lot of work to do. A lot of housework, had some grass to mow, had some projects to fix, had some beer to brew. The beer is good. It turned out good. And I essentially didn't have a day off for a week as well from work, because work is busy. And it wasn't too horrible. They were honestly pretty easy gigs that actually paid me really well. And I got to keep the lights on somehow, you know, because City Skylines videos aren't going to do it. And it just kept me busy. There was no time for City Skylines for me, which was unfortunate. But luckily, I did have some recordings banked, so I'm not as far behind as I could be. So silver linings, I guess. But we're back to it, and I should be able to get some videos pumped out at a regular pace. At least I hope. Also, just to let you guys know, I did catch a bit of an allergy infection. Sinus infection, not allergy infection. What a weird sentence. Allergies got to me a little bit, so if my voice sounds off, please be forgiving. I assume you'd rather have the video than my deep, sultry voice. So anyways, I'm pretty excited for this episode as it's one of my favorite builds I've done in a while. It's nothing too crazy or over the top, but the end result is something I think you guys will enjoy, and I'm pretty proud of it. So, as the title and thumbnail gave away, we are building an arena district, and I love building these things, but this one has to be my favorite by far. And we start the area by plopping down the arena itself. I'm a little behind on the narration, but you saw it earlier. And this asset that I'm using is the PPG Paints Arena made by Checo MX. And it's a real replica of the arena that's located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's where the Pittsburgh Penguins play. And I think it's a really nice asset. It's clean, it's simple, and it's scaled really well in my opinion. And I don't think I'm alone when I say that scaling in Skylines 1 can be rather difficult. I don't think the developers had scaling at the forefront of their mind when they were building this game. But then the community kind of turned it into what it is today. And I really like what we did with this game. I think this is the better version of it. But I think the arena fits the aesthetic I'm going for pretty well. It's got a nice modern look to it with the white roof, with that like beige stone facade, whatever that really is in real life. I think that's going to tie into this area really, really well. Kind of gives me older Spanish vibes, like a modern city meets Spanish colonialism is what I'm kind of going for. So I think it serves that pretty well. And you know, it is an actual sports arena, so it's realistic in that aspect. And that's just enough to justify me to use it as our own NHL/NBA arena for the Thunder Bay region. Even if it's a bit awkward to have another team's arena for our Tampa-themed city. I mean, what are you gonna do? We're limited on assets. I can't just build any asset. I can only take what the workshop gives me. But after we get the stadium placed, we go through a real time suck of the build, and that's building out this massive parking lot for the arena. And in true American fashion, I do make it massive and in prime real estate. Objectively, I really hate this parking lot. I mean, I really do. But I build it for the reason that it is accurate, or as accurate as I could get for this build. Because major American cities have a tendency to put big, massive parking lots right in the middle of their urban centers and just muck everything up. So no exceptions, I guess. But one saving grace, at least in my mind, is that this lot will not only serve the arena, but the upcoming park and museum for the area as well. So it's somewhat justified, I guess. Yeah, we're just going to say that's what it is there for. It's going to serve multiple areas. And in the effort to salvage the insanity of the sea of pavement, I do end up putting a lot of foliage around to spruce the area up a bit, make it not so hideous. But there's no denying this thing was a bad idea, and whoever decided to build it is a monster. and that would be me. Honestly, the more I look at it though, I think I might repurpose some of the lot and put the space to better use, especially since later on in the build I do put down a garage, a massive parking garage. And with the metro being right there, I think we could probably reduce some of these parking spaces. But that's something we'll do later on. We'll tackle that later. For now, I'm just going to leave it as is, and it's good enough for government work. So I tried to ensure that the entrances and exits also made sense, creating the best flow of traffic I could. I know that might be a bit silly to worry about with parking lot entrances in this game, but the devil is in the details. And I'm just wanting to make sure that my event goers can get in and out without too much fuss. And I just want to disrupt Bay Blvd as little as I possibly can, for a couple reasons. One, it's a main road, it's a main thoroughfare for the city. A lot of traffic is going to go on that road, just by the nature of how it is and what it is. So you see we have a lot of tall skyscrapers, and there's going to be a lot of points of interest on that road, so it's going to generate a ton of traffic. So I don't want to cause a lot of traffic issues by having a crap ton of intersections around the arena. And just intersections in general cause traffic because stop and go. Pretty simple concept. But one thing to note is right now, Bay Blvd, the road I'm using is just a placeholder. It's going to get a major upgrade in the next episode. I don't get to it in this episode, so you'll have to stick around for that one. But that road is right now, like I said, a placeholder. We're going to really upgrade that later on. And the way it turns out, I'm pretty happy with. I think you guys are going to enjoy it. It's much more urban friendly than what it is now. Because I'm trying to meet that balance between better urban design while staying true to a Florida style city. And Florida cities are very car centric. I think they've banned public transportation in parts of the state, which is silly, but I think I've already done a rant on that, so I won't cover it too much. But here I'm now detailing around the immediate area of the arena, and I use these concrete decals, and I like the look of them because they fit exactly what I wanted. I wanted some concrete around this, had to be fairly plain, nothing fancy. I didn't want to do anything too ornate in this area. Just wanted to be somewhat practical, a little bit brutalist by nature, I guess you could say. Some brutal architecture. And so I opted for those because A, they look pretty good for worn down concrete. They've got some texture to them, they've got some character, and one of the main things is from a good distance, they still render fairly well. Because you'll have that problem with decals where if you zoom out too far or even too little on some of them, they'll really lose their detail on them. So those hold it pretty well. And then I just kind of put some trash cans and some lighting around the area, maybe a few benches just to jazz this place up, give it a little bit of character. Nothing too crazy. I wanted to leave this area fairly open because if you go to arenas and stadiums, some are really ornate and some aren't. Some are just basically, here's the arena, come inside and spend your money and yell at grown men doing sports things. And right here, I'm adding what is going to be my second favorite part of this build. I'm terming this area a fan destination zone. And what I mean by that is, if you've been to stadiums and arenas, you've probably noticed there's always typically bars and restaurants right outside of the venue. And that's businesses taking advantage of their proximity. This is going to be a place for people to go to before and after the games to enjoy something to eat or a drink or be able to buy an overpriced souvenir. And I wanted that near our stadium. You'll notice there's kind of a bit of a difference in the architecture style between those buildings and the arena. And what I mean by that is the arena is pretty much brand new, and then these businesses look pretty old and run down. And that's by design. I had the thought process that there was an arena on this site before this one. There was an older arena that the city used, and for one reason or another, they tore that one down and built this new arena. And in the process of it, the owners of these buildings banded together and prevented whatever evil empire or city manager was trying to buy their lots to blow it up to make the stadium even bigger. So the theory and the story behind it is the little guy won in this scenario, and they got to keep their businesses next to the arena. And I just thought that was a nice little touch. You'll see that from time to time where business owners actually do win, and they actually do beat these big mega corporations, which essentially that's what professional sports are. They're corporations that are, they're entertainment corporations. Let's not kid ourselves. I love sports, but they're entertainment corporations at their very heart. So that was the time of the little businesses finally winning against big business. So I thought that was kind of a neat little touch I added in there. And then I go major corporate America by putting billboards just everywhere. I love the look of billboards in city skylines because I think it adds a very good touch of realism. In reality, I find billboards kind of annoying because, geez, they're everywhere in America, everywhere you look. But if you're going to build a realistic city, you have to come to terms with there's going to be billboards everywhere. So I basically put billboards everywhere. It's a good ad revenue for the team. They're not going to miss out on that chance to make money. So we go ahead and put them up, and I do like the way they look. It adds a little bit more character to the arena. And then we go ahead and put some more billboards up on these small businesses, but I took some liberty and put like Pokemon and The Sims up there along with World of Warcraft. And we also put some of these beer signs up in the window to just kind of get some street level detail. So if you're walking by, you know where you can go get a drink before the game. Thought that was a nice little touch. And I did something that I love being able to do in this game. You probably noticed, if you have a good eye, some of the buildings I use are actually vanilla assets from the base game. And one of my favorite things to do is to take a vanilla asset and just repurpose it. Because I think we can all agree that the vanilla assets are kind of cartoony. They're not the most attractive in the world. Again, I don't think the developers' intentions were geared towards making beautiful assets. They were probably just focused on making a good simulation. So we typically rely on the workshop for these pretty and good looking assets, but when you can take a vanilla asset and repurpose it, I think that shows more skill than just plopping an asset from the workshop. It's not to hate on anybody, but I've seen other YouTubers do it, and I love it when they do it, so I love it when I get to do it. But when it comes to detailing, I actually did get some really good feedback from my last episode, which leads me to want to do some YouTube comments real quick. So let's go ahead and get into those comments while we have some time, because we are actually running short on time today. It's a bit shorter of an episode than I usually do, but it is what it is. I think we're doing all right. So the first comment we have here is from T-Let Sallow, who says, it was the best episode in the series, referring to the start of my downtown episode, starting downtown. And they like my detailing style, and they want the videos to keep coming. Thank you for the comment. I do plan on keeping the videos coming. Here's one that was coming. And as for the best episode, I'd agree in the sense of I thought it was my best narration I've done. I wasn't too happy with the camera work on that one. I thought I could have done better camera work. But by the time I went to editing, I didn't realize how bad some of the angles were. I really zoomed around, and I did what I call choppy fast play, where it's kind of hard to track what's going on. That's my opinion. If you liked it, and I appreciate it. And as for the detailing style, thanks. I always thought my detailing was one of my weaker aspects in this game. Not that I really have a strong aspect of this game, but thank you. I appreciate the comment. The next one we have is from AppsyDJ, who says I did masterful detailing work. Again, I think you guys are giving me too much credit. I'd rate myself as about a C+ detailer. I don't rank myself up there with the masters, but you know what? I'm going to take that compliment. And then they also say they hope I don't stop making these videos. Again, I don't really plan on stopping anytime soon. Really enjoying the series, really enjoying the build, and I'm really enjoying the feedback. You guys are being awesome. And then they said they would definitely love to see a North Shore superior city like Duluth. A lot of possibilities with mining and ocean freight infrastructure. Yeah, I agree. You guys are kind of convincing me, if not bullying me, into making a northern style city. I did one northern style city, and that being like a Chicago themed city with my Mohegan series, but that was before I was at the level I am now. Like, I'd say I'm a lot better at detailing and building than I was when I did my Mohegan series. I learned a lot between then and now. But I've never done a city centered around mining. I've always more or less just had a standard, straightforward city with industry over here and big commercial sectors here, a mall here, and a bunch of residential. With this one, I do plan on building a swamp, which I've never built before, but I really like the idea of building a mining town. That could be a lot of fun for me. Like I said, I've never done it, so you guys are kind of convinced me into doing that. That'll probably come in City Skylines 2, because I really think that Thunder Bay is going to be my last City Skylines 1 build, because Skylines 2 is finally starting to come along. I've seen that the modders are finally catching up and getting the game to somewhat where City Skylines 1 was, and I think a few more hot fixes and the game will be a lot better. I think they're finally getting closer than what a lot of people realize. I still see a lot of hate, but I do think the game is getting closer just from what I'm seeing. I'm finally seeing some of the YouTubers some of the famous ones, like $2.20 I think is back on it. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of guys, the big heavy hitters of the Skylines community, they're finally getting back into it. So that's a pretty good indicator that the game is getting better. But I do plan on finishing this series first. Like I said, I've never finished a city on a YouTube series I've ever done, so that's my first goal. But anyways, that was a whole lot of words for one comment. I really appreciate the comments, guys. Keep them coming. Makes me happy, and you're good people for making me happy. So if you want your comments read, you're going to have to actually post comments down below. I promise I'll probably read them. I don't get too many, so if you post it, you'll get it read more than likely. Alright, and getting back to what we're doing on screen here. I'm basically fumbling my way through detailing this parking lot. I had a general idea of what I wanted to do, but I needed to piece things together and see how they developed as I went along. That's kind of my building styles. I get an idea of what I want it to kind of look like, and then it turns out completely different from what I intended. And I'm probably spending too much time on a parking lot, but you know, I actually was enjoying myself building this. So I enjoyed putting those traffic cones down to kind of block off the bus parking from all the other cars and trucks. I enjoyed putting those keep clear decals to ensure that the buses could get out, that no one's going to block them in necessarily because they need to pull forward. I like that kind of stuff. I like to put a little bit of thought and story behind what I'm putting down. So it might not be super detailed, but there is an idea behind each piece I put down. And speaking to that effect, I'm now putting those backup generators there with the backup air conditioning. And I got that idea. I've had that idea for a long time. This arena would serve as an emergency shelter for the city and region of Thunder Bay. I've had that idea for years, actually. And I got the idea from the Metrodome in New Orleans, where the New Orleans Saints play. Because if you're not old enough to remember, or you forgot, Hurricane Katrina came through, I forget what year now, but it came through and wrecked the city of New Orleans and basically put it under the ocean for weeks and weeks. And the Superdome acted as an emergency and relief shelter for the city. And without it, I feel very confident without it, thousands of people would have died. I think that's a pretty safe bet, that the Superdome, it really helped save a large portion of the city's population. And it's pretty integral to their culture and identity now. I think the Superdome more or less has paid for itself in that sense of how many lives it saved during that catastrophe. And as a emergency responder by trade, I can tell you the significance of relief shelters cannot be understated. They're vital for major cities, so we had to have one. So that's why those got there, and I like the way it turns out. And once I start putting all these decals on the pavement and really start to tear this area up, I think it really comes together. I probably overdo it just a bit, but it still looks good. I really like the way it turned out. And then I just come in and put some lighting in because I don't like my parking lots to be completely black. I like to be able to zoom out and see everything in a whole and see things lit up and illuminated, because that'd be awesome. And we just put a little shack there to ensure that whoever is trying to come in is actually allowed in, like checking ID cards. Like say someone's trying to sneak in to meet the fans, they'll stop them right there and get them out. And then I'm pretty much finishing up this project by putting trees and bushes everywhere and just kind of touching the whole area up. I know a lot of parking lots leave areas empty, but again, this is near a park that's across from Bay Blvd. So my thought process was I'm going to put a lot of trees, a lot of bushes around, make this a somewhat appealing area, and you know, over bushify it a little bit because it's city skylines first and foremost. I don't like the look of just plain open grass without decals. And it's a Florida style city, so I thought I'd put palm trees everywhere, make it a little bit touristy, because the city probably thought, well, if we're going to have this big open parking lot, we should probably at least put some trees around it and spruce it up and make it look nice. So I spent some time putting palm trees and bushes everywhere just to touch it up a little bit, make it not as ugly. But this pretty much is the episode, guys. That's everything I've got for the day. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, do the typical YouTube stuff down below, and I will see you in the next episode.